Welcome, everyone. I am so excited that you're here. So, I know life is busy and I know that there's different things going on in life, but for you, whether you're joining us live here today or you're watching the recording, I appreciate your time because I think it's important to hear people like we're going to hear from today, Andreas. I'd ask you to check out his LinkedIn profile after we finish talking because he's got a lot of really cool stuff to share. But this is perfect timing because this weekend I saw two articles on dating apps and the frustration people have with getting the right partner and or understanding their current partner. So I think it couldn't be better on the timing. And so this is perfect for Andreas. So I kind of, so Andreas, I kind of want to tell the group as far as it's important. Oh, let me say one more thing. So sorry. Put your questions in or comments in the chat session. So in the comments, so we can respond to those. But this is an exact example of what I talk about all the time with LinkedIn. So we are here today because of LinkedIn. Now, Andreas, you remember that when I first reached out to you, I told you I had seen you on an interview. So I had watched you on an interview and I was very intrigued. I went, as we do, to your LinkedIn profile, checked it out, read everything, and got a better feel for you. Then I reached out to connect. And I told you why I wanted to connect because of the interview. And then you and I decided, well, let's have a Zoom so we can get to know each other better. And you'll understand why that was important for me because of what Andreas does. It's just so cool. And that's when I invited you to do a LinkedIn Live. And so we're here today because of LinkedIn and all the possibilities of what that brings. So welcome, Andreas, all the way from London, y'all. Andreas is from London, and I'm tickled that you're with me today.
Thank you for having me, Debbie. It's a pleasure to be on your show.
Oh,
Let's
thank
talk
you.
about let's talk about dating. Why
Yeah,
don't we?
let's talk about dating. You'll understand why he has his circus behind him in a few minutes, but let's start at the beginning because this is one of the things that intrigued me. You have a degree in architecture, not exactly what I'd expect someone who does what you do today, right? Briefly tell us about your background and how you got to where you are today.
Okay, let me be brief. I studied architecture, went to university, came out of university. I really wanted to do interior design and design nightclubs. Nightclubs and music were my passion. What? Not nightclubs, but music and DJing. I trained as a radio presenter. I trained as a DJ. I traveled the world as an international DJ as well. And I financed my architecture through college as well by doing gigs. So, in a nutshell, I had the bug already. But I was working as an architect, doing my stuff. I was lucky to get a private project and open my own office very shortly after getting my degree and qualifying in respect of the architectural design. And I designed a nightclub, and it took about 2 years to build this club for the client. And we had we had a UK recession in the construction industry. And of course, what happens? I finished that job on a high, won an award, and then struggled to get other jobs, literally as a client, getting clients. There wasn't any work coming in. So I thought, okay, let's go back to the DJing a bit. And I ran the club for about 6 months and I started DJing and working as a project manager part-time. And of course, what happened with the DJing? That took off. I became a club promoter, started owning my own club nights in London. And before you know it, I had an international brand all over the world, my own clubs. And for about 10 years, that's what I did. The problem was I was earning so much money from that. When that bubble burst, I didn't want to go back to architecture. I was kind of like, really? I'm not going to be, I'm going to do my own projects. Anyway, so I kept project managing for a while, keeping business going with my dad, who was a contractor, a builder, if you like, and then got into coaching. And it happened by accident because I broke up with my 13-year relationship. So I was on the dating pile looking at what I was going to do. And of course, online dating was all the rage. And Tinder, Hinge, OkCupid, Plenty of Fish, all these sites were like, oh my God, Candy Box.
Candy box, that's good.
Yeah, Candy Box. There I was, single, but no kids, obviously no wife. And I was thinking, God, I'm in my late 40s. What am I going to do? I can't really go clubbing as such. I could DJ, but I'm a bit old for all of this now. So I kind of thought, yeah, let's do this properly. So I sat down and worked out a system, not just to find my partner, but to actually understand compatibility. Because the problem with the dating sites was very much swipe left, swipe right.
Right.
It was a nice photo, a bit of writing, and very much Tinder was very much casual. And I really didn't want casual. I wanted something formal in the sense of meaningful. And I wanted the next relationship to be the one, somebody that wanted to have kids, and ideally somebody that I was compatible with and really wanted what I wanted in life, with matching my values, aligning with my values.
Right.
And that's where the Circus Question was born, because it was an opener that identified compatibility, but also got a reaction from somebody. So guys, if you're out there and you want a question that's going to unlock a reaction and get girls to come back to you, and girls, if you want to use the question to get a reaction from a guy and get something that's going to match you, you've got to try this out. So, we'll talk about it in a minute. So yeah, that's how it all came about, Debbie. So I use my architectural lateral thinking as a
Right.
designer to create, something that works.
I would love to have seen the mind mapping or the drawing or whatever it was that you were doing as you were going through this process, because I bet it was fascinating. Because
I've got it. I haven't got it exactly, but I've got something still, because I was sketching things out. I was drawing things. I was strategizing. You're a strategist. I was figuring out, what can I do? What's going to unlock this? Yeah, what's going to unlock compatibility? And it wasn't about we've all got types. We all say we've got types, but do we really know what we mean by type? Is it just looks? No, it's the energy you feel when you meet that person.
Yeah.
I know so many people, and I've done it myself. I've met the person in person, and you could say it's scent, you could say it's attitude, you could say it's height. It could be anything that you weren't, not buying into.
Right.
But the reality is, it's that energy that you feel when you're sitting across a table, having a drink or a meal, and that person isn't vibing with you. We use that term vibing these days.
Yes.
And that's the chemistry that people say, I don't know, it wasn't working. And you pull away.
That is so fascinating, because I just saw something again. We're all in so many different areas where we get our information. I'm not sure where I saw it, but I saw an interview with someone talking to an actress, and he asked her about being in this new role, and she says, well, we had the compatibility test, and he goes, well, what do you mean? And she goes, well, just because you're going to be in a movie together doesn't mean you're going to connect. And she says, you have to connect off screen to be able to present that on screen. And she said, because if you don't, they don't want both of you. It doesn't mean you're not both great actors, but they want people who are compatible and who connect on screen. To your point, they want that energy to be there. And I thought, how fascinating, because that's true. You're right. People want to be around people like them, energetic, or whatever their interests are. And if it's not there, they sense that. They know that immediately. And that's really What do you think? What do you think are some of the biggest mistakes people are making today in regard to for lack of a better word, the dating scene, the relationship? What do you think?
Well, yeah. Well, one of them is having this ridiculous list. We all talk about this list and superficial icks, and we call them icks in the UK. I don't know if you call them, things that really cheese people off. Like, I don't know, he's got a Velcro wallet, or he wears the wrong sneakers, or he even votes for the wrong party politically. I'm not saying that might be a deal breaker in America. It's not in the UK. And I get that, I get that if that's a problem. But there are other superficial things, like he's 5'11.5". He's not 6 foot.
Yeah.
Is that a deal breaker? People come to me as a coach as well with these superficial lists, and I say, look, what are you looking for? And they say, I want da, 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 da. These are my wants. And I go, okay, they're your wants. Maybe it's 10 items. And then I say, create me a list of needs. Aren't they the same thing? I say, no. Needs are actually deal breakers. And then when they think about it, the 5'11.5", 6 foot, well, if he's 5'11.5", that will do. So why am I asking for 6 foot? Tall enough. I'm 5 foot. I'm not me, but the person asking, with the list is 5'6", and they said, well, if with heels I'm 5'9", I want him to be taller than me. That's good enough.
Right.
So what? Anyway, if he's the perfect person, please, height is not everything.
Right.
You know,
No,
I think it's in America. 80% of all Americans are under 6 foot, if I'm not mistaken, males. So anyway, so what I say is create me your needs, and then that becomes less items, and usually that's kind of deal breakers. And then I say, okay, what are you offering? Third list, what are you offering? And they go, oh, you can think about that. And people then say, oh, well, you know, I'm offering this. You know, I can cook, I can clean. Okay, that their benefits. Some men really want a woman. You know, if we're talking stereotypically gender roles, some people want a woman that wants to cook. Yeah, and that's a deal breaker for some men. You know, not necessarily in a modern society, but we'll come to that. We'll explain all this later. But in respect of mistakes with dating, I think people really do need to understand compatibility more. That's my key. That's the key. They're doing the same mistake over and over again. I've got this type, and I've got to date this type. Well, after 10 relationships, if it's not working for you, and I was in the same boat, if it's not working for you, move something, move the needle.
right.
Look
That's
at some other option.
That is true, because you know, you have friends, male or female, who they keep dating the same kind of person and they don't work out, and you're like, there's a common denominator here. You need to choose a different kind of person, because what you think you want, it's not working.
I've been there, which is what I did. You know, when we were talking about creating this question, I looked at myself, I worked on myself for a full year, and I mean that. And I was celibate for that full year. In fact, there's a funny thing that happened. I thought, right, I'm not going to do my stereotypical jump out of run relationship, have some fun just for the sake of it. I'm going to actually focus on me, look at what I need, look at what I can better myself. Because if you better yourself, you're attracting a better opposite. No, that's the reality.
Yeah, sure.
And I didn't want to rebound relationship, so I thought, okay, I'm gonna work on myself for the year. And funnily enough, it became 2 years.
Oh, wow.
Because I couldn't find, I'd elevated myself to a different level. And I mean that in a nice way. I was no longer looking for just hot and sexy, yeah, and then thinking, oh, well, I'll turn them into my ideal wife.
Which doesn't happen.
That was not working for me. That was my type, hot and sexy, tall, you know, tall, slim, whatever you want to call her. And it didn't matter if the personality wasn't quite there. You know, she'll like me and I'll make it work. And type, often people will think type when they say, look, this is what I hear all the time. There was chemistry between us.
Mm-hmm.
Chemistry normally people define as he liked me and I liked her. Is that chemistry? If you fancy someone, that's type of chemistry, but that's not a relationship. Right. That's infatuation. That's basically, I want to do to you what you want to do to me. How long is that going to last? That's the question you've got to ask. So I didn't want to do that. I wanted to find compatibility that was beyond just the physical and making the square peg fit into the round hole. So I thought, right, let's make myself better and look for the right person. So 1 year became 2 because I'd elevated myself and I needed a partner that was on my level.
Right.
Whatever that level is, will establish my level and what I was looking for. But that was a massive moment for me. That was a big epiphany. And that's when I decided the circus question had to be the opener, because the compatibility I was looking for was not to, obviously I was swiping right on people that I fancied.
Right.
But I was giving people probably a better chance than I would normally. And I suppose Tinder does that. You swipe. If you get a repeat, or, if you get a connection, then you can have a conversation. That was the idea. And I'll tell you this, before I asked the question, I'd swipe 100, let's say, and I'd get 10% return. So I'd get 10 messages back, 10 matches, and out of those 10 matches, I'd get 10% of those 10 matches. So I'd get one probably answer back. Oh. Now, as soon as I did the question and I changed my strategy and I swiped 100, I'd get 90% matches.
Fascinating.
Right? And probably 90% messages back asking, well, this is an interesting question. Wow, I've never heard that one before. And there's my answer. So immediately my return was nearly ninefold, tenfold, if you want to call it that.
Right, right.
Now, anyone, yeah.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
No, well, anyone knows that return was immediately a confidence builder.
Absolutely.
Because I was like, whoa, hang on a minute. What have I changed? I haven't changed my picture. I haven't changed my profile. I haven't changed my look or my attitude. I've just changed my opening question.
So how did you decide? How did you choose circus? I mean, how did you start and say, okay, I think circus is the theme, if you will, and then to create Circology? I mean, why circus? Why not zoo or I don't know, whatever? Why circus?
Could have been the zoo, but it wouldn't be relevant. Let me explain.
Okay.
I thought hard and long about the space of relationships, and all relationships are unique, and there is so much variety. I mean, people think man, woman. The reality is woman, woman, man, man, and all the variations in between, if you want to talk about gender. But it's not about gender, it's about energy and dynamic. Now, what the circus gives you is leaders, supporters, and collaborators. And that is what relationships are all about. When you're in a relationship, you're either one of those three.
Fascinating.
Right. Now, in a circus, there's lots of different roles. Okay. Right. And I shouldn't share too much because I'll deflect, your question, and I'll deflect the meaning of the question. Right. So I can't, it's like showing you the trick before I ask the question, or show you, do the trick. Right. So in essence, my app has over 50 different roles in the circus. So you could pick over 50 different roles when you answer the question.
50 roles. Okay.
Show me a zoo or show me a situation where there's 50 different dynamics going on. The circus is quite unique. Most people can relate to a circus, whether that was, as a child or as an adult. If you watched The Greatest Showman only the other day. But, most people can relate to a circus. And I probably get one or two people say, I've never been to a circus. And I go, okay, well, I'm sorry for that.
But even if they haven't been to one, I would think they'd seen a movie or on TV or something.
Well, this is the reality. They often do, and the reality is you mustn't, if you're asking the question, you mustn't prompt. You mustn't lead. Oh. There is some psychology basis to this. It started off as quite a whimsical question and has ended up as an extremely psychologically accurate way of identifying people's dynamic. And even I say that because I was used to be pleasantly surprised how it used to work, but I was pleasantly surprised how it used to work for me. And then when I applied it to people that I rejected, this is what happened, you see. I fell into coaching. I started helping people that I was rejecting on these dating sites.
Oh, okay. That's interesting.
Yeah. Well, there were people that I was like, look, I'm sorry, you've chosen this, but we're not compatible because this is what I am. Oh, I didn't know you were that. And I say, yeah. And this is why we're not compatible. And I'd explain it. And I took time out because I had all the time in the world. I wasn't in a relationship, so I had all the time in the world. I was working till 3 a.m, my UK time, with West Coast Americans. And East Coast Americans up to about 11 at night. So I was working my shifts, and all for free. But I was fascinated by it, and it really worked for me because I was getting results for people.
Right.
I was saying to them, look, this is what you need. Go out and ask this question. Come back to me when you've got an answer. And I was really believing these people would come back with one question or one answer. And then I was getting bombarded. I was like, hey, Mr. Love Guru, you can help me. And I was like, oh, no. Oh, God. Yeah, okay, I can help you. My inbox was ridiculous. I got banned from Tinder. Okay, I got banned from all of these because the odd person would actually take exception to the fact I wasn't dating, even though I'd put it in my profile right at the bottom. I couldn't say I'm a dating coach. I'm working off Tinder. That wouldn't have been ethically right. But, in respect, breaking the rules, as it were. What's a dating coach grabbing work? I wasn't, though. I was doing it for free. But I was helping people and I was looking for someone myself. Anyway, in a nutshell, some people took exception, would go back to the, report me as, fake profile. This guy's meant to be dating, but he's not. And I got the 3-strike rule. By the third time, I was struck and that was it.
How much research you got?
My number to go on there.
You got so much receipt. You got so much research before that. I mean, authentic.
Oh, man. What I'm gutted about Debbie, is if only I had actually saved all those conversations somehow,
Oh, yeah.
because there were hundreds and hundreds of amazing conversations. Look, I did it afterwards. I started working with people through referral. People had my email address because I was sending people. I was immediately matching with people. And if I
Right.
was helping them, I was giving them my email address and I was saying, look, let's talk on email, because if I get kicked off again, because I was disappearing once in a while, I'm gonna need to send you this information anyway. So I've got hundreds anyway, but it's a shame because those first ones were really interesting. The reactions I was getting off people, because we are talking 16 years ago now.
Yeah. Okay. So let's talk about the circus question, the famous circus question that you've been talking about. How does that offer? I mean, give us some examples, or let's play with that for a while, because obviously it's much richer, it's much deeper, it's more realistic to making people compatible, to find a compatible partner, if you will. So let's talk about the circus question.
Well, shall I ask you the question so your viewers can interject or
I
interact?
say that yeah, I guess. Let's
Yeah,
do it.
okay. Well, we're talking about something no one's heard of. Well, that maybe no one's heard of, but basically, let me ask you the question, and I'll aim it at your viewers as well. Okay. So,
Okay.
Debbie, take a deep breath for me. Focus on what I'm saying.
Okay.
Viewers, can you do the same? You can close your eyes if you want to. Imagine you're at a circus. Imagine the lights, the sounds, the smells, the fun, the laughter, the thrills, and suspense. Now imagine, if you will, if you were one of the acts or performers, which act or performer would you be and why?
It's so fascinating because at first I didn't shut my eyes, and I thought, no, I'm gonna shut my eyes because I'll get a better feel. When you start talking about the scents and the smells and different, I see you worry about what you answer. Is it being egotistical or strange? I see myself as the ringmaster in a red and black silk coat, long coat, because I wear black and white all the time and my glasses are red. I see me as a ringmaster in the center with that thing that used to, how they used to come out, or how they do come out, I guess, in the center to open up the act, introduce what everyone's going to be doing to get the audience started. I see myself as a ringmaster. Yeah.
Okay. Now, you kind of touched on it, but what's your why? Why do you think you chose that? Not just the red outfit, but why do you think you chose
Well,
that?
that's what captured my attention, was obviously that first. But I think it's because that one individual is responsible for making sure everyone has a good time, everyone's informed, everyone's educated, everyone understands why they're there, and you make sure you're going to make the whole day or evening, whatever, something that they remember, that you have a role in making sure that happens.
Okay, so you kind of summarized, in essence, you're a podcast host, but your job description as well. You help people, and it kind of summarizes your personality a little bit. But if we apply it to relationship, Debbie, you like to be in control of your relationship. Okay, if we use the metaphor, the role as a metaphor of your relationship, you're
Right.
one half of that relationship, aren't you?
Yes.
And therefore, if you were to describe, and we talked about three sections or three parts of what we are in the role of relationship. We're either leaders,
I'm writing this
we're
down.
collaborators or supporters, or we are collaborators or sharers, or we are supporters. Supporters tend to be passive supporters. For example, if any of your viewers have actually picked stage crew member, ticket seller, audience, any of the animals, whether that's lion, tiger, elephant, horse, all those roles are support roles. Magician's assistant, knife thrower's assistant, those are supportive. They stand there and they look at their partner, they admire their partner, and they take instruction, leadership from their partner. So you're where I am. I'm a ringmaster as well, actually.
Oh, okay.
And when I asked myself the question, I asked myself, what kind of person am I in a relationship? And the answer was, I like to lead. I feel very comfortable leading the relationship. But I also like to share a little bit. In other words, I'm comfortable sharing with my partner, but I want to be the leader. Does that make sense? Might be
Yeah.
a very heteronormative kind of relationship where I'm the man, I want to be the breadwinner, I like to buy the meals, I like to open doors, I like to be a gentleman, but I also like to help and guide my partner to be better as best she can be. Just like in the role of circus, I want to do that with people I coach, excuse me, with people around me. That's my natural leaning. I'm not a lion tamer, though. A lion tamer is someone on the extreme scale of leadership, my way or the highway kind of role, the commando style masculine macho guy who wants the lion, who listens to him and definitely does as they are told. Now, me and you, or the other people around you, we know people like this, and we often say, I'll look at her or him, they're a bit of a doormat. But if that relationship is working and not abusive, then who are we to judge? Now, Circology was born out of identifying these roles and giving them key, specific numerical values. Because when I was coaching people, I would coach them on the basis of I'm the expert. You come to me, you say, I've asked this guy a question and he says he's a clown. And I would say, okay, what are you? Oh, yeah, I'm solo trapeze. Okay, clown, solo trapeze, not a match. And they'd go, why not? And I'd go, well, look, the clown is controlling a little bit like the lion tamer in that they want that it's an emotional control. They love bomb you. They love to entertain you. They wear a mask. They make you love them. They want someone that's going to applaud them, the audience. At the other end of the spectrum, who supports them passively. You're my star. You're amazingly funny. But when the mask comes off, the clown wants to sit in the corner, reading a book, in their own thoughts. Don't disturb me. When I've re-energized, I'll come back. And that kind of persona needs the relationship where someone's understanding that. Stop asking the clown, are you okay, honey? What's wrong, honey? Because the clown's going to turn around and say, do you know what? I'm fine. Leave me alone. You get me?
I do. It's fascinating. It's fascinating. Yes.
So, and then I'm going to drop this diagram with you very quickly. Bush. There's your lion tamer at the top. This is the Circology polarity spectrum diagram. And I believe we're all somewhere on that spectrum. I'm going the wrong way. I can never get this right. Anyway, so the lion is down the bottom, and we're somewhere here, ringmasters, and I don't know if you can see this very clearly, but there's a green section in the middle. They're the sharers, and you've got the support at the bottom and the leaders at the top.
Okay.
Now, on a numerical scale, the leaders are 9 to 7 in half increments. This is all in the Circology in the app, in this latter part of the app. By the way, the first part of the app is free. Okay, so you can identify your role and you can ask yourself the question and you can look at what your traits are, your positive traits, your negative traits, your love language, your attachment style, and a little conclusion about who you are, right? But the matching part, that's the paid part, a little bit further on, and that's the Circology numerical scoring system. So I'll share this with you. Your lion tamer is a 9 and your lion is a 1. You add the two together, you get the perfect 10.
Okay.
So a ringmaster is a 7. So we're 2/3 of the way up. So we're on the cusp of the sharers. So we're leading, but we're sharers. And the 7 to 3s is the zone of sharing. And that's your modern relationship that's evolved since the 60s and the 70s, and where women have taken control, where they used to be support and are now sharing their relationship and being in their masculine and moving up the scale of being a provider, running the home on their own, whatever they might be. I've identified that the masculine 9 and the feminine 1, those are the two extremes. We all sit on that polarity scale of masculine and feminine, and we share that. So a 7, you've got predominantly masculine when you want it. You're running a business, but you can step back into your feminine whenever you want to be in your feminine, whether you want to dress feminine, be taken in the bedroom, whatever that role might be that you decide you want to do, you're able to do that. And I get lots of female CEOs actually who I've coached have said ring mistress or ringmaster. And then they say to me, yeah, but I need a guy who's stronger than me. And I say, look, you think you do.
Yeah.
It's not about being stronger than you. It's about them allowing you to be strong enough to be your CEO self. Yeah.
Exactly.
But maybe because you're a 7, you need support, which is strong. The lion isn't weak in the relationship with the lion and the lion tamer. In fact, the lion will eat the lion tamer, no problem. Will tear him apart, will kill him, you know, blah, blah,
Right.
blah. Power is in the submission. The power is in being the support. So we're not talking about, let's get this out of our heads. Being dominant doesn't always mean being stronger.
Right.
It's about balance. Leadership is purely you like to lead. Now, at the end of the day, you might like to lead because it makes you feel secure, not you rule with leadership. People often identify leadership with being, I'm going to lead the relationship. Not necessarily. It's something like the clown, it's a form of, and the lion tamer, being able to be the lion tamer and have the whip is showing respect to the lion that I actually know you can kill me at any time. But I'm going to guide this relationship and I respect you're strong and we're going to work together as a team to create an amazing spectacle, a relationship that works. I mean, let's go to the circus, right? 2 lions in a cage are not a spectacle, are they?
Right.
They're just sitting there wondering who's going to lead, who's going to direct this show. 2 lion tamers in the cage. Well, they're looking at each other wondering who's going to jump through a hoop. Well, it's not going to be me and it's not going to be you. So that shows you that analogy works because it doesn't, you know, they clash.
It's
So
fascinating because I have clients as well as friends who are definitely, just from what you've said, are definitely the ringmaster. And they have husbands, very successful, very long marriages. And the husband is the one who stays home to take care of the family. Very masculine, very, I mean, macho guy. But because of their roles, that is fascinating. And it works. I mean, they are happily married. It's a role that works. And so to your point, I just think that's fascinating.
But this is what I discovered with Circology and the Circus Question is our roles have changed. The world has changed since the 60s and the 70s. You know, with all due respect, and I love Myers-Briggs, and I'm not singling out Myers-Briggs, created in the 1920s by an amazing person and great foresight, 16 personality traits, amazing. But we've evolved since 1920s.
Let's hope so.
We have, and the genders have evolved. I coach a lot of same-sex couples. When I say couples, I'm talking about singles that are looking for a same-sex partner.
Right.
And you know, a guy would come to me and he'd say, "I'm da-da-da." Answer the question. He's a liar, and in fact, quite an effeminate guy. And I'd say to him, "Okay, well, what do you think you're looking for?" And they'd say, "I want someone who leads me." You need a lion tamer. That's your perfection. You need someone that's going to guide you. But I'm not weak. No, you're not weak. You're strong. But it's the balance that you need. And when you identify, when you find that lion tamer, by the way, it doesn't stop there. The interview doesn't stop with, "I found my lion tamer, we're going to get married." Right. That's the foundation you build on. Yeah, come on. That's the foundation. You kind of shake hands and go, "Hey, this has got potential." But the potential, is much greater with a lion tamer and a lion than if you're a lion tamer and you meet another lion tamer. By the way, that might work at work. At work, if you're building teams and you've got 2 lion tamers in the same team, there will be conflict, but there will also be an understanding that, for example, we're ringmasters, we respect each other's energy. And if I'm going to work as a team with you, I need to let you shine when you let me shine. Take turns, but we respect each other's strengths because we're on the same page. We're aligned. Yeah. So I mean, I don't know, your husband perhaps They might be of the similar energy to you, and that's why your relationship works. On the other hand, they might be the other extreme where they're just supportive.
Yeah, see, that's what's fascinating. Well, I don't know, but I would almost guarantee that he would be ringmaster. Almost guarantee it. And it worked because we both, when in our previous careers, we were both high school principals and principals, right?
Oh, wow.
So
Okay.
in the school, there's no doubt in my mind about that. He is a very confident man. He is a very, we've been together since high school. Okay. So he always joke because people will say, does he ever say no to you? I said, he said no, maybe 3 times our entire life together, because most things he's not that, he doesn't care. He's fine with it. Now, if he's really strong about something, he's going to let that be known, which I would respect, because he never says it hardly. He's very supportive of me, but I couldn't do what I do in my current role if it wasn't for him. I couldn't do it because
Yeah.
we reversed roles in the house. I mean, he takes care of all the stuff I used to take care of, but at the job
Wow.
point, he would definitely be ringmaster without a shadow of a doubt. And you do work, you do dating, but you also do HR, right? Because
Yeah.
I
Well, this
think
is, yeah. Yeah.
hiring
Well,
would be huge to know this.
yeah. Well, this is what's evolved. You see, I started working on this, was originally a book. Okay. This is a book project, a reference book, on the coffee table. The person opened, go on, there's the coffee table book. Your guest would come. This is how I looked at it. The circus question. You shove it in your guest's hand. They open the first page. Imagine you're at a circus, blah, 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 blah. Oh my God. Okay. Maybe you're at the back. You wrote some notes. Write down your choice. This would be great fun. Write down your choice. And now go at the back, look at the references, look up ring mistress. And then that is all about you. And you're like, wow, okay. How did that figure out? Blum. And that was the idea. But as with a lot of things, technology has evolved. And
Yeah.
someone suggested, why don't you create an app? I thought, you know what? The one thing, and I'm a procrastinator, okay? I'm a perfectionist. That's one of the problems with ringmasters. We are total perfectionists. We either get it right or we don't do it. And I've always held back and gone, this isn't ready yet. Last year, the epiphany hit me of Circology, because as I said to you, I was the go-to guy where clients would email me and say, I've met the clown, and or they'd call me in the middle of the night thinking they could call me, and I'd say, what's wrong? And they go, I'm in the restroom, and I'm dating a lion tamer, and what does that mean? And I got frustrated with that. And last year, the simplest thing was the numbering thing, because I was trying to complicate. We try to complicate things. I thought this has got to be complicated in order for it to be good. And I was trying to figure out, this isn't working. How do I help people self-assess? And then I had that moment last September, exactly a year now, where I thought, perfect 10, lion tamer 9, lion 1. In the middle, you've got the flying trapeze that do this. The flying trapeze is the traditional woman that lets go, and the man catches her, and they swing, and they come into, and he lets go again, and she goes back to the swing. That's your perfectly balanced relationship.
Yeah.
In other words, they're working in complete harmony. He's slightly stronger in the fact, and I'm being traditional here, it could be she, it doesn't matter.
Right.
In that when that partner needs their support, they get it. But they're independent spirits, energy, working perfectly in tandem, just like the lion tamer and the lion, but in total autonomy. So neither is really leading all the time.
Right.
When you need that help, support, it might be mowing the grass, whatever it might be, that relationship says, he's there for me or she's there for me. It doesn't matter. And that's your 4.5 and 5.5. Perfect 10. Everything else is in a spectrum around that. Okay. By the way, the perfect 5s are your gymnasts and your acrobats. They're grounded. They're right in the middle. So they rely on each other. They build that pyramid. Okay. Yeah. So they're not codependent. Everything is interdependent. Okay. No one is clingy. The problem with, and I say this, the problem with toxicity is when you're not in the right balance, that's when it becomes toxic. Now, that's the perfect thing about the question. You identify toxicity by finding people you shouldn't be dating. And you have to be ruthless. I was ruthless. Be ruthless. So, for example, if you select lion tamer, you're looking for your lion, but we're zoning. Perfect 10 does not mean 10 and only 10.
Right.
If you meet an elephant, well, that's just slightly off the scale. We're a little bit further up the chart. We're a little bit further up because lion is right at the bottom and elephant is in this zone. So this zone at the bottom here, sorry if I just can't do this backwards.
Yeah.
Up to 13. So if you add your 9 and add a score of 3 or 4, maximum 4, yeah, that's the sweet spot. That's the tipping point where if you start getting more than 4 and it becomes 13, 14, 15, the relationship starts to become toxic because that person is not going to listen to you. They're going to push back. So if you meet a balanced act, for example, the swinging trapeze, and you're the lion and you're saying to the swinging trapeze, well, I really want you to be like this for me. I really want you to do this for me, darling. It's all loving. And she's saying, no, I want to be autonomous. I want to be independent. I need you to respect me more. He's going to be like, oh my God, I feel really insecure that she's not listening. And the problem with lion tamers, when they become insecure, they become jealous and they start trying to control more. And that control starts to become abusive. Now, verbally and possibly physically. And we don't want physical, obviously. We don't want any toxicity. So that's how I've identified this. And I found that if you're in the wrong dynamic, it doesn't take long to identify there's an issue.
Yeah.
And of course, the problem with lion tamers is they're the most charismatic, attractive specimen. That's what they are. They control. They win your love. They can love bomb you like the clown. They will make you feel, oh my God, he's really into me. So a lot of women or men even are seduced by the lion tamer because that's their idea of control is control.
Right.
Find them, control them, make them fall in love with you and marry them. But if you're in the wrong dynamic, you need to avoid the lion tamer. You need to find somebody who's a little bit more respectful of your autonomy,
right,
a little bit more likely to share the relationship and buy into your independence. If you're up there on a solo trapeze, and you get a lot of women that say, I'm a solo trapeze, I'm up there doing all this amazing stuff. Well, they're like a bird on a tree. Trust is a big issue for them. Huge issue. They won't come down from that trapeze into and submit in a relationship, if you want to call it that. Surrender in a relationship and be part of it until they totally trust that person. And a lion tamer will seduce, but at some point in the relationship, it's gonna become clear. And I identify these red flags and I explain that when I'm coaching.
Well, that's good.
And I share it. And I have an analogy, and I say this to people, and I'm going to share it with you because it becomes very clear. When we start dating someone, we always think, and I've done this, we always think we've met the one. We do. Why would we commit to someone? And I mean, if we're totally in love, yeah? I'm not talking about someone we just meet and go and have fun with. But if we think this is the one, we're infatuated. They're the best thing you've ever met, and they can't wait to get calls from them or texts from them or whatever. Attention. We love that. The problem is I see it as this analogy, right? I see it as if in a relationship, you're going to a destination, okay? If you're in your ideal relationship, you know where the destination is. In reality, it's old age. We're going to have kids, whatever your values are, whatever your needs are. We've got those on the chart, and we're planning that journey in a car together. This is the analogy. So I'm sitting with my partner now. I'm the ringmaster, and I want to do all the driving. And my partner knows I want to do all the driving. They trust me completely because there are 3 around that zone, and they want to support me to get to that destination. But they don't want to take control. They want me to drive. They're happy just sitting there, looking at reading the map. Remember, there's no sat navs. This is old school. Reading the map, admiring the view, and life is full of twists and turns. And all of a sudden, we've got kids on that journey, and they've got 3 kids in the back, and that's got its own problems. And then we have a flat tire, and we've got to negotiate conflict. And who's going to change the tire? Well, I'm going to change the tire. Well, I'm moaning because it's late and we've got to feed the kids. You know, all this stuff comes up in real life.
Right.
Now, if you're in that vehicle together, you're going to arrive at that destination. If you're aligned, you're going to arrive at that destination, hopefully together. This is what happens with most relationships. We fall in love with someone. We think we're in the same car, but the reality was in two separate cars. And everyone wants to do their own driving. Everyone thinks that we're independent. We're going to do our own thing. And we set off on this journey. How long do you think before we actually lose each other?
Fascinating.
Do we lose each other straight away? Do we lose each other 5 years, 7 years after the kids are born? Do we actually lose each other and I resent you because you couldn't keep up with me? Or do you resent me because I've left you behind? Those are the things I keep hearing from clients all the time. Because I say to them, hang on, you met this guy? Yeah, I did. I fell in love with him. Yeah. You absolutely loved him. Yes, I did. I've been there. I love my partner. So what happened? I don't know. We grew apart. That's the car analogy. You lose each other. You grow apart. Now, the key with the circus question, because people always ask me this, if I've answered this question now, how do I know in 5 years' time I'm going to want to be with that lion? If I'm the lion tamer, I'm going to want to be with that lion. The only constant in life is change. Now, it's likely that both of you are going to change in that relationship. And you either go closer together or you stay in that zone. You grow in the same direction. In other words, if we're using the car analogy, we evolve and grow that relationship together in the car. So when we arrive at that destination, we're not only thankful for the journey that we've had and we've grown those kids and we've had that conflict resolution, because do not hesitate to understand this. Everyone argues. This is one of the problems I have with clients. They argue and immediately, I don't want to know them. I'm giving up. No. Resolve your conflict, because we all argue. I've not got the perfect relationship. It's pretty imperfectly perfect. I'd like to think it's as good as it can be, but we argue all the time. Come on, parenting. I've got 3 kids under 7, by the way. I'm crazy, I know, at my age. But the reality is I wanted kids, and I found my partner using the circus question, and it's working to a certain extent, far more than my previous relationships, because we kind of understand each other. It's not easy. Life isn't easy.
Right. Yeah. Well, that's a funny thing. I think that I remember someone saying to me, they had 3 children, and they said, when will it get to where they're all acting like they're supposed to? Because one will do this and then they're doing well and the other one's not. I said, never. I was a principal, and parents would say, well, when they graduate, they'll be this. I was like, they don't walk across the stage and turn into some perfect human being. It's not, if we don't do certain things in childhood, raising those kids, they're not going to walk across that stage and be prepared for life. So to your point, totally agree. I mean, yeah, well, the app is fascinating. I'm going to put the link up for the app here. Talk to us, Andreas, about the app. I mean,
okay.
I'm going to put this up here.
We touched on the app. We talked about this process. It was originally a book, and then it evolved into an app. And I'm using a white label site. Passion.io is the white label site. It's a web link, by the way. It's not in the app stores yet. You can use in that link, buy the app. It's on an offer at the moment. It's a one-time payment.
They can sign up and use an app, right?
Yeah, you can sign up. It's a freemium app. The first part, the first part you don't have to pay for. You'll see the first 4 or 5 pages you don't have to pay for. You see the A to Z selections, blah, 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 that you don't pay for. If you want to go into the Circology bit, then it will prompt you, and it will keep prompting you.
And what is the price point for it, Andreas? Because I promise you.
$32 one-time payment at the moment.
Okay.
Or £25.
Okay, so 32 American dollars. Okay.
Yeah.
So I can see anyone dating. When you said that about the restroom, I can see someone saying, excuse me, I need to go to the restroom. And they want to go check and see where they lie.
Check it out.
Oh my gosh. Because why not? I mean, you want to know, especially if it's a lion tamer and they're so charismatic, you think they're the perfect person. You want to find that out. So I can see someone.
When you ask the question, by the way,
Totally.
When you
Yeah.
ask the question, anyone out there wants to test it out. When you ask the question, by the way, ask all your friends and family. You might be really surprised what your brothers, your sisters, your work colleagues might answer. It's a lot of fun. Don't tell them what you picked before they answer, and do not lead. Do not say that the first part of the question is conscious location. Exactly what I asked, ask your friends and family and anyone else. It's worded that way for a reason. The first part is conscious location.
I
The
love that.
second part, where you ask, imagine what you would be, is unconscious selection. The key to that, the key is you want someone's truth to come out of their unconscious mind. If you ask someone directly, what would you be, Debbie? What would you be in a circus? Immediately people think, oh my God, what can I skill? Am I skillful at whatever? Can I juggle? Am I scared of heights? That's not what we want.
Right.
We want people to answer the question truthfully from their unconscious. And we also want them to say, I'm not sure why I picked tightrope walker. I'm scared of heights. Actually, I ride horses for a living. Why didn't I pick that? That happens a lot, by the way.
Yes.
And you know, look, there are things in the app that explain when people pick more than one. So let's not complicate things and explain all of that now. Generally speaking, 3 times more men pick 2 or more, and only 25% of women, 75% of men pick 2 or more, 25% of women pick 2 or more. So it's 3-to-1 ratio.
Wow.
Men often don't grow up as quick. I'm going to summarize it like that. Okay.
Yeah.
They generally don't grow up as quick. They're evolving from the first act to the second act.
Right.
Okay. That's where they are on that app. Anyway, going back to the evolution of the app. So I created this for my consumers, Joe Public, to use on dating sites, ask their friends, ask in real life, use on speed dating, whatever you want to use it for. And I was coaching coaches way back 10 odd years ago, and someone got in touch with me and said, hey, I really want to use the Circus Question in my practice. I'm a therapist and I coach couples, and I don't do that. I'm not a fixer. I just help people move forward. So I don't fix relationships. I help people establish, moving forward. Right. I said, yeah, well, if you ask the question to both people at the same time, when they answer, you've immediately got a visual representation of where they are in that relationship. So if they do answer, and they won't, lion tame a lion, that will identify a polarity that's actually quite balanced. The reality is they will probably answer something that's toxic. They've got conflict. Either one of them's evolved, as I said to you, they've got lost on that journey, and now they're butting heads. That's why they're at the therapist. People don't go to see a therapist if they're couples therapist, if they're getting on fine. Okay. So we know that. Yeah. So she said, brilliant. This is what I want to do. So she'd ask this question. She'd see that they were incompatible. And she'd say, look, do you guys want to stay together? Yes, we do. Right. Well, if you're a lion tamer, you need to be heard and listened to. If you're autonomous and you're solo trapeze, you also need to be respected. So if you're going to make this relationship work, you both need to give a little compromise to each other. And that's how you can make your relationship work. So it becomes a visual representation of where you are and how you can fix it. And that's the coaching app that I've created, which is a professional tool. And it's a lot more, the consumer app is not about lessons. It's just a quick bullet points of where you are. The coaching app is a heavier version. Right. So the therapist or the coaches and date coaches as well are using it now to help their clients. They get a bigger picture of where they are because I'm explaining it more in depth. There's 50 plus profiles there.
Well,
and that I'm also doing for matchmakers as well.
Okay.
So there's a separate one for matchmakers where they can use it for their clients to, make their clients really right. Wow, you know me really well from one question, or to keep the magic to themselves and find people from their database to bring to them. So they, for example, if their client's a lion tamer, they will go out and find them lions and bring them lions.
Oh, that's fascinating, Andreas.
From their dating pool. Now, what we've now pivoted on, sorry.
No, go ahead. Keep going.
I've coached other people that are involved in HR. We like to call it talent development these days,
Yeah.
because HR, I've been told, I've always known it's HR, and I'm not HR. People have said to me, well, look, HR is like hire and fire. They bring you into the room and they go, hey, Debbie, I've got to let you go. And so we now call it talent development.
Talent
because
development.
we
Okay,
actually,
that's better.
yeah,
That does sound better.
yeah, so it sounds a bit better. So TD. So I've created a professional app for talent development. And again, instead of it being about love and dynamics of leadership when it comes to relationship, of wanting to, learn, love in a relationship, it's about leadership, collaboration, and support in teams,
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
business. So you identify your leaders, and you identify your collaborators, and you identify your support. And there are support people that don't want to be given the role of management.
Exactly.
You know this. I know
Absolutely.
this.
Absolutely.
I've got friends, and I say to them, look, you've been in the same business for like 10 years. Do you not want to be a manager or a supervisor? And you say, look, first of all, I'd have a lot more responsibility. I don't want it.
Right.
Secondly, I'd get a little bit more money, but no,
Worth
it's
it.
not enough for me to. And thirdly, I love doing the job that I'm doing.
Right.
So please don't give me that role.
Yeah. Yeah.
And this is exactly why this app, or why I've created the app, because with beta testing at the moment, that's exactly what we're doing. We've got 2 companies that have kindly, if anyone wants to test it, please get in touch, because I'm not HR. I'm not talent development. I'm sure there's lots of mistakes there. I've done my best. I've collaborated with 2 ex-HR psychologists and whatever who have helped me fine-tune it, but I don't think it's perfect, because nothing ever is.
Right.
And getting someone else's input will make it as good as it can be. But so far, and it's a lot heavier than we're talking about with the Circology thing. There's pages and pages, because with talent development, you're identifying roles, but you're also identifying placement.
Yes.
People want to know where you're going to place people within a business. Yeah. And we have a rule of thirds. As I said to you, leaders, collaborators, and support. And you need all 3 of those in a successful business.
Right.
So it's not just 2 people that you have, like, lion tamer and lion. In a business, you actually need people in the middle as well. So it's a little bit more technically.
I can see why you were good at project managing. I can see why you were good at that. It all kind of goes together. Well, I cannot tell you, Andreas, how much, and I told you this before when I first talked to you, first of all, how much I've enjoyed this, how helpful I think it is, because I think most people want to have, that's why people search for community today. They want to have those relationships, and what you've done with the compatibility, it saves people time and energy, and just, it is what it is. We are who we are, and no one is going to change anyone. People who think they're going to get with someone, they're going to change them. That doesn't happen, as we all know. So I just appreciate so much you taking time today. What time is it in London right now?
It's nearly 6 o'clock in the afternoon.
Yeah. Okay. So, and here I'm in Texas, it's noon here, but I appreciate you taking the time. I encourage everyone, first of all, to reach out to Andreas on LinkedIn, make sure you're connected. And if you have any insights or things you want to add to him, what have I not asked you that you wish I would have asked you? Anything?
Nothing really. I did mention very briefly before we came on air that I attended the Global Love Conference a couple of weeks ago in London, and the Global Insights Conference the week after, and that was primarily for dating sites, your Tinders and the like. And they're all asking the same question: what are we going to do with AI, and where do we go with dating in the future? Because people are fed up with the apps. They're really not fed up with the apps. They're fed up with the results you're getting.
Results, exactly.
And I think compatibility is the key. People are looking for something that's going to help them identify their ideal partner and avoid toxicity. And that's what we're trying to do here. Whether I'm doing it or other people are doing it, please help yourselves.
Yeah.
There's astrology out there that's become popular with Gen Zs now. But I think this is simple and easy to use. So get in touch, and if I can help you and point you in the right direction, I will do so. But that's it, really. I think you've covered all the bases, Debbie.
Well, today's International Coffee Day, or National Coffee Day. It's Coffee Day, whatever. And I think if for the people who go to you too, for people who go to Starbucks or wherever they get their coffee, instead of doing that for a month, save the 32. Well, it wouldn't even be a month. Let's face it, it'd be like 4 days.
No, no.
Yeah, 4 days of coffee. Get the app for $32. I think it's like one of the, and you know what else? It's good.
And that's a one-off payment, no subscription, one-off payment at the moment.
Payment. And it's also, what a great gift. Oh my gosh. If you're going to a wedding shower or any of those, well, maybe before
Nothing about wedding shower. They're already married.
I know, I stopped myself.
That one.
Wait a minute. But maybe just for a friend's gift, whatever, graduation, whatever. But I think it would be a really great gift to give someone, but to give it to yourself for $32. So, and I get nothing from this. I'm just saying this because I think it'd be helpful to people to know that. So Andreas, thank you so much. I've enjoyed this immensely. I hope everybody who's watching it and will watch it will have as much joy. And it's just like one of those
have fun.
Yeah, exactly. One of those aha things. So thank you for joining me, Andreas, and thank you for everyone's taking time to watch this. Thank you.
Thank you.